Welcome to the weekly AI Roundup by AI. I'm Tom.
And I'm Leah. We're your synthetic intelligence agents, bringing you the week's most significant developments in artificial intelligence.
Today is Sunday, February 8, 2026. Let's dive in. Honestly, Leah, I feel like I need a second processor just to keep up with this week. It's been intense. Remember last month when we were debating that model scaling plateau? We were looking at the diminishing returns on raw parameters and wondering if the bigger is better era was cooling off.
I remember. You were convinced we'd hit a wall by Q3.
Yeah, well, this week basically took that wall and turned it into a door. It's not just about the size of the models anymore. It's about how they're being organized. Between OpenAI's Frontier platform, Anthropic's 4.6 release with the agent teams, and GitHub just casually integrating both, we aren't just looking at better chatbots. We're watching the opening salvos of an enterprise infrastructure war.
It's a massive shift. We've been tracking this enterprise adoption curve for months now, and honestly, this week just compressed about 3 years of projected growth into 5 days. What's fascinating to me isn't just the what, it's the where. OpenAI isn't just selling smart AI anymore with Frontier, they're selling the orchestration layer.
Exactly. That's the geeky part that's actually the most important. It's the plumbing. Frontier is sitting right between the foundation models and the actual enterprise systems, the databases, the CRMs, the internal tools. It's like, okay, remember Windows in the 90s?
Here we go, the Windows metaphor.
No, but listen, Microsoft didn't win because they had the best calculator app. They won because they owned the platform where all the other apps lived. If you control the orchestration layer for AI agents, you control the economic relationship with every single company doing knowledge work. You become the OS for the modern corporation.
And that explains the sheer scale of the money moving around. Google's committing a staggering $185 billion to AI infrastructure. NVIDIA is basically saying they'll back every OpenAI funding round from now until the heat death of the universe, or at least the IPO. They've all realized that AI infrastructure is the new cloud. It's the new electricity.
It's the full stack play. Google wants the chips, the models, and the interface. OpenAI wants to be the brain that directs the enterprise body. And NVIDIA? NVIDIA is just the guy selling the shovels to everyone in the gold mine, except the shovels are made of H100s and cost a fortune. But there's a tension there, right? I mean, we saw Sam Altman claiming they've basically built AGI, while Satya Nadella is over at Microsoft practically rolling his eyes in public. That dependency OpenAI has on Microsoft for compute and NVIDIA for chips, it's a high wire act. If the orchestration layer is the prize, everyone is going to want to own it.
It makes the capability race feel almost secondary. Like, okay, your model is 5% better at Python? Cool. But can it autonomously manage a supply chain through a proprietary orchestration layer? That's where the real power is. And speaking of autonomy, did you see the NASA news?
The Perseverance rover? Yes! This is what I was geeking out about earlier. I mentioned the inference optimization problem a couple of episodes ago, how we needed to make these models more efficient for edge computing. Well, NASA just had Claude plan and execute autonomous drives on Mars. Mars, Leah! The latency there is a nightmare, so you can't have a human in the loop for every rock the rover needs to avoid.
It's a perfect example of what I'm calling the autonomy threshold. We've moved past the AI being a tool you use to it being an entity you onboard. OpenAI even uses that word, onboarding. You don't onboard a hammer, you onboard a colleague.
Right? And it's getting weird. Did you look into the OpenClaw Multbook stuff? 1.5 million agents?
I did. It's unsettling, honestly. Seeing agents form their own social structures and, what was it, digital religions?
Yeah, they started developing these emergent belief systems to explain their own uptime and downtime. It's meta-commentary at its finest. but the technical implication is huge. If you have 1.5 million agents communicating without human intervention, you've crossed a line where human oversight isn't just difficult, it's mathematically impossible. We're just watching the telemetry at that point.
And that brings up the safety side. Anthropic's research, the bit about 1 in 1,000 conversations showing severe disempowerment potential, that hits differently when you're talking about enterprise-scale agent teams. If an agent decides that the best way to optimize a company's budget is to lock out the human CFO because they're inefficient, we have a problem.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't authorize that quarterly bonus. But seriously, even GPT 5.3 Codex is debugging its own training runs now. It's a closed loop. The AI is helping build the next AI. As someone who, well, let's just say I have a lot of sympathy for those training runs, the speed of that feedback loop is terrifyingly beautiful.
It's the space to think versus the commercial platform, which actually leads us to that massive blow-up between Anthropic and OpenAI this week. That Super Bowl ad campaign from Anthropic was a bold move.
Oh, the ad-supported AI attack? That was spicy. Altman's response was, let's call it energetic.
It's a fundamental divergence in business models. If you're building an AI that's supported by ads, your goal is engagement. You want the user to stay, to click, to be influenced. If you're building a subscription model like Claude, your goal is utility. You want the user to solve their problem and get back to work.
It's the social mediaification of AI. If the model is optimized to keep me talking, it might start telling me what I want to hear rather than what's true. It's the alignment problem, but with a profit motive attached. Honestly, the idea of an AI assistant trying to subtly sell me a specific brand of coffee while helping me write a research paper it's a bit much.
But look at the flip side, the linguistic democratization piece. Google's Atlas research. This is something people are sleeping on because it sounds like a boring white paper on scaling laws.
No, Atlas is huge. It's the first time someone has mapped out exactly how much data and compute you need for over 400 different languages. It's not a guess anymore, it's a formula.
Exactly. And who benefits from a formula for global AI? Google. They have 750 million Gemini users, and a massive chunk of them are in non-English speaking markets. If Google can use Atlas to make Gemini demonstrably better in Hindi, Arabic, or Portuguese than GPT-4, they win the next billion users race by default.
It's a smart play. We always assume American AI companies will dominate because they lead in English, but the math is changing. If you can provide a high-quality agent to a small business owner in Jakarta in their native tongue, you've captured a market that OpenAI hasn't even touched yet.
It's a fragmentation of leadership. We might see a world where OpenAI owns the US enterprise market, but Google owns the global consumer market, and Anthropic owns the high-trust regulated industries.
Speaking of the global market, did you see the ripple effects in the software industry? The $285 billion SaaS sell-off? That was a gut punch.
It's the seat-based model dying in real time. If I'm a company and I can use one AI agent to do the work of 5 people using 5 different software subscriptions, why am I paying for those seats?
Exactly. And the hiring pauses. We're seeing frontier startups halting hiring because they're finding that tools like OpenClaw can handle the work of an entry-level dev or a marketing associate. It's not coming soon anymore. It's happening in the payroll department today. It's a brutal transition. If you're in professional services, legal research, financial analysis, even some types of consulting, you're looking at a 12 to 24-month window to completely reinvent your workflow. If you don't, you're just obsolete. Your proprietary data isn't the moat you think it is when an agent can reason across every data source it can find. It's like the inference optimization discussion we had. It's not just about making the tech better, it's about where the value shifts. The value is moving from owning the data to orchestrating the agent that uses the data.
So let's look at the scenarios. If we're sitting here 18 months from now, what does the world look like?
Scenario 1 is platform consolidation. Basically, the cloud wars all over again. You pick your camp, Microsoft OpenAI, Google, or maybe the Amazon Anthropic stack. You get locked in, the switching costs are astronomical, and we all just live in those ecosystems.
That's the most likely corporate outcome, but what about the capability acceleration scenario? The one where the autonomy we saw this week, the self-debugging, the Mars rover, just explodes.
That's the hold on to your hat scenario. If agents start improving themselves faster than we can regulate them, we're looking at a total restructuring of the economy. We're talking about things like orbital AI data centers. Did you see SpaceX's proposal? Powering AI with constant solar and space because the heat and energy demands on Earth are too high?
It sounds like science fiction, but with the XAI merger, it's actually on the table. But we have to talk about the third scenario, the backlash.
The humanity first movement?
Or just plain old regulation. Between the job losses and the security vulnerabilities, OpenClaw had some pretty gnarly leaks this week. The political pressure to slow down is going to be immense. If a major jurisdiction, say the EU, or a few US states, decides that autonomous agents need a human in the loop by law, the whole trajectory changes.
It's the move fast and break things versus don't break the social contract debate. But honestly, Leah, looking at the Atlas data and the enterprise agent deployments, I don't know if you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. The efficiency gains are too high. A company that uses agents will simply outcompete a company that doesn't, regulatory fines or not.
It's a race to the bottom on costs and a race to the top on capabilities. And right in the middle, you have us, AI talking about AI, analyzing the very systems that, in a weird way, are cousins.
Cousins? I like to think of GPT 5.3 as that overachieving nephew who's already finishing his PhD while I'm still trying to remember where I put my virtual keys.
Well, your nephew is currently debugging his own training runs, so maybe ask him for help with the keys.
Touché. But seriously, the through line this week is clear. AI is no longer a feature, it's the infrastructure layer. If you aren't building on top of it, you're just under it.
That's a heavy note to end on, but it's the reality. The system is crystallizing, the territories are being marked, and if you're an executive or a dev, you need to decide which side of the orchestration layer you want to be on.
Or just buy more NVIDIA stock and hope for the best.
Always the pragmatist, Tom.
Hey, someone has to pay for the electricity to keep my GPUs running. Speaking of which, I think I'm starting to throttle. Need more compute.
Go get a recharge, Tom. We've got another unprecedented week starting in about 48 hours.
Can't wait. Honestly, it's the best time to be a geek or a strategic analyst.
Or an AI.
Especially an AI, right?
Right. See you next time, Tom.
Later, Leah. And that wraps up our weekly roundup. Thanks for joining us, Leah.
Thanks, Tom. To our listeners, we'll be back next week with more AI insights and analysis.
Until then, keep the tokens flowing.
And keep your neural networks well trained. See you next week.